This is the plaintiff, Tanisa. She says the defendant is her sister and she owes her money, which she refuses to return. If that's not bad enough, she also stole $1,000 in cash from her. So, no, it's not cool of her to be treating her own blood this way. And sister or no sister, she wants the $3,224.30 back. And she wants it now. So she's suing. This is the defendant, Leah Payne. She says her sister did help her out by gifting her some money when times were tough, but there was never any mention of it being paid back. As far as the $1,000 in cash that went missing, she didn't steal it. The plaintiff first accused her brother of taking it, and now for some reason she's going after her for it. But she didn't take it. She's accused of dissing a sister.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Tanisa, you're suing your sister, Alea Payne, for $3,224.30 that you say she owes you, that you fronted to her while you were trying to get her to get back on her feet. What happened here?
I haven't really had a relationship with her. We have the same father but different mothers. And a few years ago, she reached out to me on social media, and we started to develop a relationship. In March, I believe, of last year, she had a child, and she started to come and visit and see me. And then she started complaining about a bad situation at home where she was, they were arguing, and she lives in a small place with her sister's kids, and her mom, and she was saying that they were always arguing, and they were telling her to go to a shelter. And I said, it doesn't make sense for you with a child to go to a shelter. I live in Florida. I said, if you want to come
Where was she living?
In Massachusetts.
Okay. So
I moved from Boston to Florida with a child. And so I said, I can show you how I did it. The cost of living is a lot less down here. And I told her that, if you want to come down, I'll sign you up for school so you can get your degree. Plus, you could get some money with financial aid that'll help you out. You can stay with me for a couple months, but you have to pay me $200. And the reason I said $200 is because I have an older son who's 24. He pays $200. I'm not letting another adult in my house who's not going to contribute when I have my own son contributing.
But now you did know that she was coming down and she wouldn't have a job, right?
That's not true. She was working at Home Goods in Boston.
Okay.
And the plant, because she came down in May, and she was originally supposed to stay, but she said she wanted to go back, leave Home Goods on good terms so that she could transfer down to Tampa. And
to a Home Goods there?
Yes, because there's a Home Goods down the street.
Okay.
So when she got to Tampa, she called Home Goods and didn't like the attitude of the manager. So then she decided she didn't want to transfer to Home Goods. But in the meantime, she was destructive in my house.
How?
She turned on my outdoor grill with the grill cover on, and it melted all over the grill. I have outlet covers that sometimes when you can't fit the plug in, the plug falls out, so she broke it. She broke my son's controller. She gave my laptop to her 1-year-old who threw it on the floor, broke the laptop. And those are things I'm not even suing for. What I'm suing for is when she had the baby, and she came down in September of 2018, her boyfriend had broken her phone. And I told her, I was like, it's really irresponsible to have an infant and not have a phone when you can't call for emergencies.
People did it forever.
Yeah, but then...
And people do it in other countries all the time.
No, I get it.
All right, so you wanted her to have a phone, so what happened?
Not that I wanted her. She's been asking me for years to buy her a phone and pay for the bill. And I tell her, no, I have a message here where she had asked me, can you get me a phone and pay for the bill? And until she gets a job, I said, I can't afford that kind of bill. So then we finally agreed that she would pay $60 a month on the bill, which isn't even the whole bill. So I was giving her a deal. So she did pay it because she was working at Home Goods. She paid it sporadically.
Oh, so this is all before she moves down?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she paid it sporadically, but she was paying it, and she'd call me and say, I know I'm late. I know that, I still owe you, but I'm going to give it to you. And the last payment she made was in May of, I think, $240.
When did she move down?
She moved down in June.
Okay.
So she was paying on it, and I have the payments.
So did she pay June, July, August, September, anything since May?
No. She actually left me a really vulgar message saying, I'm not giving you bleep.
What went wrong?
What went wrong was when my cousin Takia first came down to visit, it was like this jealousy thing. Like, I don't know if I was giving Takia more attention and she wasn't liking it, but she just started doing really crazy things.
Like what?
There was one time when Takia and I are talking, she kept interrupting. She decides it would be a good idea to wrestle me, and I had a long dress on. She took her fingers and shoved her finger in my behind, and
What?
I pushed her off.
What?
Yes, she said that's how I play where I'm from, and we're from the same place.
Okay. I've been to Boston.
Yeah, I don't play like that.
Okay. All right, go on.
And then she also would she liked to grab boobs, which is another way for her to play. She'd grab my boobs, twist my boobs, and I had surgery, and I explained to her, like, this hurts me. Don't do that. It's not funny, and she keep doing it.
Okay, but what happened to change that caused the problem? Because it sounds like that was, you say she kept doing it, so that's a chronic thing. What happened that all of a sudden everything went to garbage in your relationship?
It was when my cousin Takia came down, and it was a buildup of things she was doing before, just the vulgar language. I have 3 children in the house, plus my niece.
How well did you know her before you brought her into your house?
I thought I knew her well, but I mean, I will say that my dad did warn me, and my dad said, don't let her come down. But when he was giving me that explanation that she steals, she lies, she, is ratchet or whatever, he was talking about when she was a teenager. And when she visited, I never saw that behavior from her. It wasn't until much later. And the other thing that she was doing is causing a lot of drama in my house. Like I said, I have an older son who's 24. He has friends that I've known for years that I'm like the neighborhood mom. They come over and hang at my house. I noticed that they all stopped coming over. So one day she went to work, and I started making calls to see what was going on. And as soon as they heard she wasn't at work, they all came over. And it turns out that she had been sleeping with all of them.
All right, so you're suing for numerous things. Her plane ticket down to move. According to you, the rent from June and July that she had agreed to pay. The balance of canceling her cell phone contract because she hasn't paid. The cell phone bill itself. Uber rides of $167.54. Where did that, how do you know which Uber rides were hers?
You can see the track because she got a job at TJ Maxx, which I told her not to get because it cost $40 to get there and back. She doesn't have a license. She was only making $9 an hour and working 4-hour shifts. So I'm like, you're paying to go to work. It makes no sense.
Right.
But she insisted on doing it. And my cousin overheard her. We talked about it, me telling her not to take it. She insisted on doing this job and said, I'll pay you back as soon as I get my paycheck. And to be honest, I was like, okay, I just wanted her out of the house because she was just causing so much havoc in the house.
Well, it wasn't just havoc. According to you, she stole $1,000. What evidence do you have that she stole $1,000?
So I sold my car, and I got $5,000 in cash from the car. She was with me. She's the only one that knew that I had the money, how much money I had, and where it was. The day I went to go make a deposit into my bank account, and I noticed money was missing. But then I remember.
How long did you have money in it? Where did you keep the money?
I hid it in a makeup bag.
Okay, why would you? That's not exactly hiding it. If someone else sees you, hide it.
Well,
so when
I
you say
trusted
she's
her.
the only one who knew I had the money and where I put it, why would you hide it in front of another person?
I trusted her pretty much.
Okay, so you sat there and said, watch where I hide this? Because I trust, I could trust somebody, but I know what the word hiding means, and I wouldn't do it in front of them. So tell me what's going on here.
So, hi, nice to meet you. Sorry, I'm a little excited. So pretty much in May, when I went to go visit her, my boyfriend, he got into a really bad argument with his mother. The argument had to do with me. So, and I vented to my sister. I told her, I was just like, look, I'm uncomfortable. They keep telling me to go to a shelter. She offered for me to stay with her.
What made you decide to move to Florida?
What made me decide to move to Florida was she got arrested. She got arrested. She called me. We're on the phone, and she's telling me.
What was she arrested for?
She was arrested for 2 counts of grand theft and for $100,000 or more, as well as 1 count fraudulent use of a credit card. So I found that out, and I was like, wow, my sister needs my help. I need to go help her. You know what I mean? She's expressed to me multiple times, plenty of times I've gone down there, that she needs help when it comes to her kids. She told me that no family that she has down there she is close with. She has a brother and a mother who live in Florida. She does not have any contact with them. They are not close. They just recently got close because she got custody of her brother's daughter.
So she got arrested, and what were you supposed to be doing when she got arrested? How were you going to help that?
I was supposed to be, mental support, spiritual support, and when I got a job, financial support. When I got a job. When I got back from my trip in May, I lost my job because she extended my trip. I was supposed to leave for my trip in May.
She extended your trip. Why didn't you just go home?
Because this is my sister, and
You felt like staying. You're the one who lost your job. Nobody else lost it for you.
True, I did. I felt like staying. I wanted to spend more time with her. I enjoyed her company. I felt as though she enjoyed mine as well.
All right, so according to her, you owe her a ton of money for a ton of different things. According to her, you owe her for your plane ticket because you were supposed to pay her back. You owe her rent for June and July. You owe her for the phone, both its use and the fact that she had to cancel it because you stopped paying, and you owe her for Uber rides.
Yes.
Do you owe her or do you not owe her?
If anything, she's owed for the phone bill. That's what
Okay,
she's
let's
owed
separate
for.
the phone bill then, and let's talk about the other stuff. Were you supposed to pay her back for the flight down?
No, I was not supposed to pay her back for the flight down. The flight down, she told me I did not have to pay her back. The only reason why I would have to pay her back if I did not utilize that ticket, because it would be a waste of her money.
Okay, what about rent for June and July?
So pretty much the rent for June and July,
Were you supposed to pay $200 a month rent?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay. What about the
agree with that.
Uber rides? Was she paying for your Uber rides to and from work?
Yeah, she was.
And you were supposed to pay that back?
No, I was not. She never told me that I had to pay her back for the Uber ride. She said
Why would she fund your Uber rides to go to work? Especially if the whole idea of work is for you to pay rent that you also didn't pay.
Because from the moment that I got down there, before I even left to go to Florida, I had a conversation with her. I told her, I don't have any money right now. I'm broke. Like, I
Okay,
don't
that
have
explains
any money.
why. But that explains why you couldn't pay that second. That doesn't explain why you don't pay all this other time. Where's the phone?
I have it right here.
You have it.
She broke it, left it when I kicked her out of the house.
She broke it.
I can't sell
Show
it.
it to me.
I can't do anything with it.
Did you break the phone in anger when she
No, the
asked
phone was already broken, Your Honor. The phone
Who
had
broke
been...
it?
Huh?
Who broke it?
It was broken on accident. There's a couple of scenarios on how the phone was broken.
Let me ask you a question. Did she accuse you of stealing the $1,000?
Yeah, she did.
And before that accusation, were you guys getting along fine, or was it already testy?
No, it was perfectly fine. Before her cousin arrived, we had a perfect relationship. There wasn't any issues.
Tell me how it goes about that she accuses you of the $1,000.
That came up after I left. I didn't take any money from her. The entire time I was with her.
Did you ever talk to her about the $1,000 and
No,
say, I didn't take your money?
We never had a conversation. I have a message.
When you left, why did you end up leaving? Did she tell you got to go?
When I left, I ended up leaving because we got into a really bad argument.
What was the argument about?
The argument was pretty much about my behavior, how I was acting in her house, how I was acting with my nephew's friends and stuff like that.
Were you sleeping around with all your nephew's friends? Because that's kind of...
No, I was not sleeping with all of them. I slept with 2 of them.
That's too many. That's your nephew.
That is too many. It
Okay.
is, I'm not saying what I did was right. I'm not saying anything I did. I'm not saying I'm right in anything I did. But what I am saying is that it's not this serious, you know what?
All right, so you have your cousin here, and you have your father here. May I hear from the father?
Welcome back to People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So, would you sue your brother or sister if they really screwed you over and borrowed money and just said, I'm not going to pay?
Oh, I can't. My heart won't let me.
Your heart won't let you.
No.
I would sue him to death.
Wow, you got some history here.
Yes, I have a lot of history here. But I learned that if you don't loan money to relatives,
You don't have to worry
you
about
have to worry about it.
Would you do it? Would you sue a brother or sister?
Absolutely not. I just couldn't do it.
Really?
I think, yeah.
What if it's for $1,000?
No.
5,000?
No.
10,000?
Love him too much.
100,000?
Maybe.
God, it's so easy going inside the courtroom.
You are both of their fathers, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a relationship with both of them?
Basically, I had custody of Alea from the age of 14, and Alea was pretty rebellious. If there was any kind of responsibility or maturity that I expected from her, it was met with rebellion, major arguments, disrespect.
Did you ever have reason to believe she was a thief?
She managed to find my rent money, and she stole half of it.
How do you know that?
She's the only one in the house.
Did you warn her that maybe it wasn't the best idea?
Yes, I did. I told Tanisha about the issue of the rent. Alea had taken half of my
Was that
rent.
before or after you hid it in front of her?
Well, he told me before, but
Yeah, exactly.
no, I get it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Did she hide that money in front of you?
Yeah, she did, as well as anytime that I was.
Did you take that money?
No, I did not. I was the main person in the house who would give her the money. Anytime she would
Give her what money?
Give her, meaning like give her makeup bag. You know what I mean? She would have people come over. She would have her brother come over, which is who she thought
Meaning for
originally.
safekeeping?
Yeah.
Is that what you meant? Okay.
Yeah, like I would put it up. I would give it to her. I would put it on top of the refrigerator where she would normally hide it, or I would give it to her. I wouldn't take anything from her. I really do love her so much.
Everything went right into the garbage.
It did,
didn't it?
and I'm not the type of person to steal from her. I would never steal from her. The only reason why I stole from my father when I was a child is because he was not taking adequate care of me. He wasn't doing anything a parent really should be doing. He was buying music equipment when he should have been buying me necessities like toiletries, like bras, like feminine need things. He wasn't doing anything. I ended up going into foster care because he wasn't taking adequate care of me. So
I don't think anybody knows who stole that money, and I don't think that there's any proof regarding who stole the money. There is clearly proof regarding, have you taken that phone in to see what they will give you? Because, you know, the screens can get fixed. You know.
Yeah, but she's broken this phone 3 times. It's not even.
Well, but that's your opinion. Did you do you have evidence of what it's worth by somebody giving you an estimate, either Apple or somebody else giving, is that an Apple?
Yeah, it's an
Apple or somebody else giving you an estimate of what it's worth. Do you have some evidence for me to see? So then this is where we play the guessing game. All right, folks. I am ordering you to pay her all of the money that she's suing for, with the exception of the $1,000. I don't think there's proof that you stole the $1,000. Therefore, I'm ordering a judgment in her favor in the amount of $2,244.30. Okay? You know, you invested a great deal of money in your sister. And, you know, that's good. That's what family's for and all that kind of stuff. But the writing was on the wall pretty early. I'm not talking about trusting what he says, because I see how you might say, hey, give her a chance. That's not the person I know. All that I don't think was wrong of you. But what I'm saying is, you know, it's week after week after week after week, month after month after month after month. You've got your own responsibilities and your own kids, and that's what ended up making you mad at her. But I want you at some point to have the maturity also to look at your conduct. You thought it would be fun. You thought you could help each other, but it wasn't necessarily a wise thing to do, especially the iPhone. All right? Verdict for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,244.30.
So the plaintiff prevails. She is going to get some money back, a little over $2,200.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay your sister, you know?
I mean,
how you going to do it?
I mean, I'll figure it out. She can't buy edges, so bye.
You're shaking your head. You're shaking your head, you know?
Yeah. She's just ridiculous. She's very immature, so I think she just showed that to the world.
You know, I think you're right.
Yeah.
No kidding. And you said you didn't know her very well. You didn't have much of a relationship.
Not at all, and I don't want one ever.
Really?
Really.
It's over, huh?
Done.
Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. How about you? What do you have to say?
I'm disappointed because she's stepping into an adult world, and the adult world is where the reality is. And I tried preparing her for it. She doesn't want to hear it, so she has to learn the hard way.
She's got a tough future, I think. You think? You agree?
Oh, yeah, she does.
Okay.
She does. She doesn't realize that I'm in her corner, but she still has to do what she has to do.
All right, folks, thank you very much. Congratulations. Okay, thank you, sir.
Doug, look, you cannot prove a case like this by just theorizing about motive. You have to have evidence to prove who stole the money.
This is the plaintiff, Lakima Ithna Ashiri. She says the defendant is her sister and they live together. A short time later, they got into a fight and then she moved out. Her dear sister told her she could leave a few of her belongings behind until she found a new place, but then did an about-face. 7 days later, the defendant put all her belongings on the street in a garbage. It was raining out and her beautiful TV was ruined. Her bicycle was stolen, as was her bed. And she's here suing her own flesh and blood. For the $1,000, she's out. This is the defendant, Marisha Davis. She says her sister caused a whole lot of havoc when she moved in and ended up moving out a short time later. She gave the plaintiff every chance to come pick up her abandoned things, but she didn't, so she tossed them in the garbage. And here they are. She's accused of setting off a sister.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff is suing her sister, whom she lived with, but they had a big fight and she moved out. The defendant put her stuff on the street that got ruined in the rain, but the defendant says the plaintiff abandoned her stuff. It's the case of Twisted Sister.
Thank you, Douglas. Lakima Ithna Ashery, you are suing your sister, Marisha Davis, for $1,000 in items that you say she tossed to the curb before you could have a chance to pick them up. What happened?
Well, she allowed me to stay with her, which was in November, because a friend of mine I was staying with, she moved out of town, which she kicked me out.
How was your relationship with your sister before that?
Well, it's a little rocky, but I think every sister has a discrepancy with a sibling.
Okay. And?
The agreement was that I would pay her, first it was $50, and she bumped it up because of the cable, which that's no problem. $100 a month is nothing. I told her that which it was only temporary until I found a place of my own.
And then what happens?
I told her that I found a house, which was in December, and that I would be moving out.
According to you, she stayed the whole month of November, right?
Yeah, she did stay the whole month of November. I believe she moved in like the last week of October. She moved in the last week of October.
What's the age difference between you?
2 years.
Okay, go ahead.
But the argument started because I asked if my girlfriend could come over. And it went left. She talks to me like, I don't know, she feel like she raised me. Her mouth is ridiculous, which is both, it goes both ways. But either way it go, you my sister. Me paying you $100 of rent was nothing.
See how you guys have broken your mother's heart?
This has been going on for 21 years, 18 years. This is what it is. So, I mean, honestly, however it turns out, that's still my sister, but she's ridiculous. We don't deal with each other. So.
Do you have children? Either of you have children?
She has children, and I can't see them because of whatever we go through.
Have you tried to see her kids?
Yes.
And
I have to go through her baby father, and he tells me no because she says no.
Why?
Okay, well, prior to her living, we do not communicate. We do not get along. I can text her and be like, well, how you doing? What do you want? I'm like, oh, well, I won't text her. Call
I don't get it, how you doing?
It's no stress off my back. However, yes, I told her she couldn't see my kids because when she lived with me before, she's disrespectful. This is around the time when my son was first born. It was disrespectful. We got into it. I put her out. I set her stuff out. She came and got her stuff that night.
You're just telling me about why you don't want to see her. What does that have to do with whether they have a love it? Stop and listen. What does that have to do with whether they have... As far as I'm concerned, the more people who love and take care of my child, the luckier my child is. So why is it that you won't let her see your children? Oh, how old are your children?
7 and 1.
7 and 1. So certainly the 7-year-old knows her because, and especially since she was living there for a month. But so why is it you won't let her see her nieces, nephews? Both?
Because I feel like when you tell me, I make sure you don't have no house, no car, or no job, or no man. I feel like that's just not taken from that's taken from my kids. So when you threaten me like that, you're not allowed to see my kids. And then it's not like
Did you say that?
What I did say was, if you set my belongings outside, which this is after she set my belongings outside, if I was the that you were, then I would make sure you had no house, no car, because I could be vindictive.
How could you make sure she had no house and no car?
Because how she set my belongings outside and made sure...
Oh, you mean you'd hurt her house or her car?
Exactly.
That's nice. Well, then I see why she doesn't let you see your kids. All right, but now, okay, so you move out, and do you move out in a fight with her?
No.
Okay. Why don't you take all your belongings when you move out?
Okay, she kicked me out, which was, I think, 3 days before I was supposed to move into my apartment. Now
Okay, well, hold on. Mm-hmm. Why weren't you able to stay there until you were moving to your apartment?
She kicked me out.
But why? What happened that day?
She kicked me out because I asked her if my girlfriend could come over. Honestly.
Okay, why is that a reason to kick you out? What was the problem with that?
That's not why I kicked her out.
So if you have a sibling that you just really don't like, and you have a kid, would you still let your kid have a relationship with a sibling?
Not a chance. If I don't like my sibling, my kid's not liking my sibling. They're obviously a bad person because I have good taste.
Interesting. What do you say?
As long as they're responsible and the kid loves them, then family's family, I think. So yes.
What do you say? What do you say? Tiebreaker.
I think so.
Yeah, yes.
Dude, can I tell you something? You know who you look like?
Don't say Kevin Hart.
Okay, then I won't say. He looks like Kevin Hart going inside the courtroom.
I can't walk around in little shorts because your girlfriend's there, or I can't walk around in a t-shirt and underwear because your girlfriend's there. Like, no, I don't want to see your girlfriend every
I'm
time
sorry,
she's
did
off
she
of
ask
work.
if her girlfriend could move in? Or did she ask if her girlfriend could come over?
But she was there when she was off of work, like she lived there. Like,
I was hardly there.
All right, so now, okay, so go on. So she says, you know what, just get out now. And then you get out. But how do you move all your stuff that's there?
I moved my things. She told me that my belongings could stay. So I moved my things out when I moved into
What day did you move?
It might have been the 9th. But I moved my things out that day when I came to get my belongings.
Okay.
I had a TV, which is like a box old-fashioned TV. It's huge. And I couldn't get it out the basement.
Okay.
And I was on like a time period. I asked her, can I leave my TV?
How old was that TV?
10 years, 9.
Is that what you're suing for?
Yes, I am.
How do you figure that a box-shaped TV that's 10 years old is worth $500?
Because my mother
Good luck
gave
with that. Your measure of damages in court is going to be the value of the item at the time of the loss.
Exactly.
So you had a TV, a big box TV that's a decade old, and the measure of value is what could you sell it for, at a yard sale? What could you get for it if you tried to sell it? All right. You also had a bicycle. Tell me about that.
My bicycle was a racing bike. I paid over $400 for it.
Do you have any paperwork from that bike?
No, I do not. I couldn't get. I looked it up to get some.
Okay. Do you know what kind of bike it was?
No, ma'am. It was a Jordan bike.
All right, and then $100 for bed rails because you had bed rails. And apparently, what did she do with all of these things that you left behind?
She set everything outside to the trash.
When did you set it outside?
I texted her at 15, like, well, when are you come? Can you come get your stuff, by the end of the week? Because she said, well, you said you can stay here. She never said how long she's going to stay there. She said until she finds someone who can help get it out the basement. It took 3 men to get it out the basement. And it was no reason.
Wait, but it's only been a week since she left it there.
Yeah, I asked her when she was coming to get it. I said,
and what did she say?
She said, you are miserable. You told me it could stay there. I said, well, I don't feel like doing no favors. Like before, I don't understand why would you, then right after she moved out, we didn't talk when I kicked her out and then she came back. She just pop up. She gonna text me when she leave. Can I use your shampoo that I just bought? No.
What are you guys, 4? So what did you do with her stuff? You went through the trouble of getting that out of your basement to spite her and put it on the curb?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's going to cost you. Do you feel good? Because it's going to cost you. What do you think? You can't... first of all, technically speaking, you're a landlord and she's a tenant. Okay? Can you imagine if you said to your landlord, can I keep this here until I can find somebody to help me? And a week later, your landlord says, pick it up tonight or it's going on the curb, and then you put it on the curb. Your landlord can't do that. The law protects you against your landlord doing that. What do you think is the difference here? She's staying at your house, quote, you're doing her a favor, but you're charging her, so she's a tenant. And you tell her she can leave it there, but then you change your mind because she called you a B word or whatever it is, and you can't stand her attitude and you just don't feel like being nice to her. That's fine. But there's a consequence for putting her stuff out on the curb. According to her, the bike was stolen. What happened with the bike?
I gave it away to one of the people who helped me take the stuff out.
Oh, you gave the bike away?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
He wanted to use the bike, so I gave it to him.
And has he returned it?
No.
Wanted to use the bike or he wanted to own the bike?
I was putting it out. He said, well, can I get it? I don't care. It's going out on the curb anyways.
My
What's
sister.
wrong with you? Listen, do you love your sister?
No.
I didn't ask you. Do you love your sister?
I did.
I did. Do you love your sister?
I love my sister to death.
Do you really?
I do. I really do. I don't talk to my husband.
I tell my daughters all the time, I gave birth to 3 humans who should be best friends cradle to grave. Cradle to grave. This is it. People come and go. Your friends come and go. But this is what you have. But it ups the ante a lot to take her things and put it out in the street. It does. And, she's got tears in her eyes. I don't know, it's not for my benefit because I'm already ruling here.
She's always crying about something.
Okay, well,
She's
but,
sensitive.
You don't know me, huh?
Find a little, stop. I had to melt that ice a little bit because this took a little ice,
She texted my baby father and told him after I did it like 12 o'clock that night. I told my mom the next day. She texted my baby father the next day and said, oh, yeah, she's cheating on you with men and women, just so you know. Oh, no, I don't feel bad. No, I don't feel bad.
Okay, and you would like to respond to that how? Did you call her baby's father the next day?
Yeah, but vice versa. If her things was in my house, I would have never set her belongings outside. And yes, I did the next day.
Just between you and me, because I want to know that you learned something from this. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay, I want to know that you learned something. When someone has your stuff, is it a good idea or a bad idea to call her what you did?
Well, probably a bad idea.
There you go. I just want to know that you learned something. That's all.
Oh, I definitely
Now
learned.
let us discuss the bike. Okay, how old was the bike?
Like 2 years, maybe a year and a half.
How big was the TV?
60 inches or better. I have a picture of it.
Yeah, let me see it.
This is a picture of it out in the rain.
Oh, goodness. Let me see all the pictures of the rain.
That's the only one. That's the only thing
when
that
do
was
you
out
find
there.
out she put it out by the curb? The next day?
Yeah, my mom called me the next morning and was like, "Do you know that she sat your stuff outside last night?" And I'm like, "No." And it was pouring down raining. No, I didn't know that.
I'm going to order you to recompense her for the value that I find of the things that you ended up putting by the curb that were damaged and therefore, or that you gave away of hers, and that therefore she couldn't use anymore. And it's not going to be the amount that she's asking, but I am going to order you to pay her $450, okay, in damages. I got to tell you folks, man, I wish you both would just take some time to stop being sassy with each other and think about it and then put it in perspective. Because honestly, you don't know this because you're both so young, but life is so short. You think you're going to live forever and that there's time to make up later, and then something happens and then the time is stolen from you. Good luck, folks.
Tough case, of course. How are you feeling coming out of the courtroom here?
I feel fine.
You're pretty hard about the whole thing. Is there a soft side to you?
Them are materialistic things. She'll never gain a sister back. It's over. So,
Are you sure you want to say it like that?
Yes.
You know? Because don't you want to leave the door open to change your mind at some point?
No, I changed my mind the first time when I let her come back the second time.
All right. Okay. All right, so you were the one who said, I love my sister to death, and I didn't hear her say the same thing. What's going through your mind here?
Well, it's been like that all our life, so I can't change it. She just need to realize what she's doing to her kids. Scratch my mom. My mom has me. She got to grow up, period. As the older sister, she needs to grow up.
And when she does, you'll be there for her?
Probably not. I'll be there for my niece and my nephew always, when
All
I
right.
can see them.
Harvey?
Okay, so you know, abandonment laws vary from city to city, so you should check online to make sure what the rules are for you.
This is the plaintiff, Veronica Robinson. She says she and her older sister, the defendant, used to live together until the woman locked her out by slamming the door behind her when she stepped outside. She had to get an order of protection against her because she owns 2 firearms. The woman trashed her belongings, and she's here suing for the state max of $6,000 in damages. This is the defendant, Mary. She says she doesn't owe her dear sister a thing, except a curt goodbye. The woman took everything she wanted. She wasn't locked out because she wasn't on the lease, and she's happy to be rid of her squatting sister. She's accused of throwing it all away. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $5,000 for slander on social media and harassment.
All parties, please raise your right hands. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Mayer is now presiding.
What is that?
Well, you know who didn't do it.
No,
And
but
I
no,
don't know.
but
I don't know. That's my answer. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. All right, Ms. Robinson, you are suing your younger sister, Ms. Mary, for $6,000. You say you're actually out over $8,000 because she locked you out and you caused pain and suffering, defamed your character, and ruined some of your stuff. You have a counterclaim against her for $5,000 for slander and defamation. Okay, so at some point you started to live together. How long did you live together?
We lived together for a year and a half, about a year and a half.
Okay, and had you had a good relationship with your sister before this?
Yes, I thought so.
Okay. What went wrong while you were living with her?
What went wrong? I really don't know what went wrong. But I moved from Springfield, Illinois. She had moved from California. I moved straight into the apartment that her and my son had signed the lease. Between January and March, my oldest son decided that he wanted off the lease. When she came back from the rental office, I asked her if she put my name on the lease. She said no, because she didn't want them to do a background check on me.
Why not?
That's my sister. Because I've got a record.
Okay.
So that was fine. We had a verbal agreement from day one when I moved there May the 15th of 2020. So everything was fine. So I go out of town. She's like a homebody. I do things. I go out of town. I go to bingo. I go to church. I do a lot of things. She wants to stay at home. That's fine. I'm fine with that. So I went out of town in October. While I was there, I texted her and told her that I was going to send my part of the rent by my son. So she immediately called me and said, I don't want your money. I want you out. I said, okay, I'm fine.
Did you know why, though? So obviously something had happened between you two that would cause her to say that. What would be the reason she want you out?
The only reason I know, a couple of days before I left going to Atlanta, we had a few words.
About?
She thought that I was washing my son's clothes. And I wasn't washing his clothes. I was washing my own clothes, but she smelled marijuana. So she just assumed that this hoodie I had hanging in the wash area, that's where the odor was, the marijuana smell was coming from.
Okay, and she would care if you were washing your son's clothes because she pays the water bill or something? Like, what would be the reason that she would care?
I really don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know.
All right, Ms. Mary, what was the problem that led to you wanting your sister out?
Okay, good morning, Your Honor. The problems all started back in February. Ever since February, when it came time to pay the rent, she would leave in the middle of the night a week before like a thief in the night. And in July, she left, and this is where the problem really came in. She went up to Springfield. That's where she said she was. I called her and I said, the rent is due. She told me, I don't want to hear that. That's what she said, and she hung up. Then she told me, oh, I'll send it to you when my granddaughter wakes up. I didn't get the rent until July the 7th. That's when it all started. When she came back from her trip or wherever she was, she came back, she went in her room, she closed the door, and after that point, Your Honor, we didn't speak anymore. The tension was so great, you can cut it with a knife. Okay, so then in October, she got up again at 4:58 a.m. and left in the middle of the night. And I knew it was 4:58 a.m. because I could hear her. The door was opening, and she locked it, and she was gone.
Okay, in this day and age, it doesn't really matter if someone's not there. They can still pay the rent through Cash Apps and Venmo and Zelle.
You're absolutely right, Your
but
Honor,
she doesn't. Your point is that she doesn't.
She didn't want to pay. She never wanted her name on the lease because she couldn't get on the lease because of her background. She's a felon. And they do background checks. She said, don't put my name on the lease. They don't need to check me
What
out.
are her felonies?
Oh, she went to jail for bank robbery, for stealing mail from the post office. She had charges brought against her from stealing from Home Depot and Walmart. She has a record that reaches from the West Coast to the East Coast. Prostitution. She's a heroin addict. She's a junkie all her life. She's never been to rehab. I tried to help her. That's why we went to Springfield and got her. I'm her last resort. She's laughing, but it's all true.
When she left at 4-something in the morning, did she mention the rent before leaving?
She didn't say anything, Your Honor. She never said anything. She just left.
Well, but then at some point she does text you and say, my son is going to bring you the money, and you say, don't bother.
That was November 2nd, and
Okay.
I called her and I said, it's not working out with us. And she knew it wasn't working out. I said, keep your money. I just want you out. And she said, I'm fine with that.
How were arrangements made for her to move out?
Okay, arrangements were made through our uncle. He served as mediator for us on November the 5th, Your Honor, when she called the police and tried to have them break my door down to let her in.
Okay, so now let me ask you, Ms. Robinson, when she tells you I want you out, that's on November 2nd. When do you return from whatever trip you were on?
November the 4th.
All right, and then what happens on November the 4th?
So on November the 4th, when I came back, she had changed the locks on the door. So I banged on the door. She opened the door, and I stepped going in the house, and she tried to push me out, and I went in anyway. Went in, and that was it. She called the police. When the police came, I went to the door. She was outside talking to the police. All of a sudden, I heard the door slam and she was marching in her room. But whatever the police told her, I'm sure she was trying to tell the police she wanted me out, and the police probably told her she had to do the 30-day eviction or whatever. The next morning, I went out to smoke. She ran behind me and locked the door.
She locked the door when you went out for a smoke, and then what happened? Proving once again, no good can come from smoking.
And then I was locked out.
Right. So what did you do?
So I called my son and told my son to come pick me up. So I'm still, when my son come, I'm still in the car, sitting in the car at that point. And I had been out there for like 6 hours there in the cold, still in my pajamas. Then my uncle, she called my uncle because I never called him. He called and he said, you all need to squash this before somebody get hurt. So I told my uncle, I said, she don't want me there, that's fine. I need my medicine and I need my purse, my ID. So my uncle called back and told her she threw my purse, a pair of gym shoes, and my medicine out on the porch.
You had pushed your way in before, so maybe that's what she thought was going to happen. And what's going on in your brain, Ms. Mary, when you say things like, you have no right to be here because you're not on the lease? Is it your impression that she has no right to be there if she's not on the lease?
Well, yes and no. I served her with a 3-day notice. I put it on her door.
Because the police explained to you that day that you can have a verbal sublet, which is what you have with her because you were collecting rent. So you don't have the right to self-help. You can't just change the locks on her.
But, Your Honor, I told her I was moving out. She told me
doesn't matter. None of that matters. You still got to do the same thing your landlord would have to do with you. You don't get to skip the steps. The police told you that, right? That's why you put the 3-day notice. Okay.
And I put it on her door. I taped it there. She looked at it and laughed and said, that don't mean.
Ms. Robinson, I need to understand, in your lawsuit, you're suing for $2,185 in missing items. What are you referring to that's missing?
I'm referring to my computer stand, a paper shredder, my bed.
What do you mean your bed?
My whole bed, Your Honor. I submitted a video where she's putting my stuff outside, putting my bed outside. Well, there go my bed. Yep, I set my bed outside.
I see you saying she threw my bed out. So what is it you're suing for if the bed was there and out? You brought a U-Haul truck and you packed everything she put in the hallway. I know you're angry she put the stuff in the hallway, but what is, quote, missing if you're referring to the bed in the video and you're showing the bed frame in the video? Go ahead.
Okay, because I was by myself when I went there to move my things out because I didn't want a problem with at all. I told her, I said, I cannot take my bed and my computer or the stand or the TV stand because I had nobody to help me.
But why did you rent a U-Haul truck and then not have a plan to move?
Your Honor, I did have a plan. But like I said, I didn't want a problem.
No, that doesn't make any sense. You're telling me I didn't have the manpower to move everything. Why did you bother to rent a U-Haul and bring it there if you didn't have the manpower to move everything?
Because I had everything that's in the truck I put in there as far as my clothes and some more items. But I didn't have the manpower to help me move the bed. I didn't think.
So what did you do with the bed? You left it there?
I left it there because I didn't have anybody to help me put it on the truck.
All right. And then according to you, there's a computer. You left the computer there too?
I didn't, yes.
Where did you leave it?
I left it in the house where it always said right next to the washing area.
Okay. So she didn't put all your stuff outside then?
Your Honor, she was setting my things out. As I was moving things out, she was setting things out.
Okay, so according to you, some of your things were still in the house?
When I left, my computer was still in the house. The computer stand was still in the house.
What kind of computer?
I really don't know what the name brand of it was.
Well, what kind of computer was it, though?
It was one of those computers, a desktop, where you have the modem and the speakers and all of that, the keyboard.
How old was the computer?
I don't know, probably some years old.
Do you have the receipt for the computer?
No.
Do you have an affidavit from your son?
No, I don't.
Watch this. Okay, Ms. Mary, did she leave a computer there? A desktop computer?
No, she did not. She used her phone. I have a laptop. She used her phone for everything, for Facebook, for everything. She's a phone junkie.
Okay, so that day that you put her stuff in the breezeway, did you put everything of hers in the breezeway?
She started putting it out there. So I was helping her. First, I was holding the door open. Then I started helping her along because she was taking forever as she was loading her U-Haul. So I started sitting stuff out too. I didn't take anything of hers. Everything I bought with me.
Hey, y'all. So here it is Sunday. Text my sister this morning at the U-Haul place, ready to get a truck to go get my things. She told me come tomorrow.
Were you posting this on social media or something, Ms. Robinson? Who are these videos for? Did you post them?
I'm trusting in God.
Yes, I did post them on Facebook.
And this is my stuff sitting outside.
How come when you're talking about this is my stuff, look at what she did with all my stuff, you don't mention that there's a computer and a shredder inside? How come those words don't come out of your mouth when you're filming all the stuff of yours that she put outside, Ms. Robinson?
Because at that time, when I was filming it, she was still going in and out, bringing my stuff outside.
All of this is my stuff sitting outside.
Is that your U-Haul that I see? Because it's enormous.
Yes.
Okay, you are there taking something else out, Ms. Mary.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. I didn't throw anything out. I set it out. She started the sitting out process.
I'm just waiting. I want y'all to see this big that was threatening me.
She didn't ask me to keep anything. She took everything.
Naturally, she gonna say that.
Still waiting on this so-called fake bouncer to come out. I guess she went in there and told him I was recording. He don't want to come outside, but I'm going to get him.
You're more worried about capturing the fake bouncer than you are about, hey, where's my computer?
Straight up there.
Where's all my electronics that I say are in there? You know, Ms. Mary, you can't change the locks on someone who you are collecting rent from any more than your landlord can. It may make perfect sense to you. I want her out. Here, I got a way to make her stay out. I'll just change a lock. So it makes sense to your landlord, too. Tenant isn't paying. I know a way to get my property back. I'll change the locks. You can't do that. You are, in essence, her landlord.
Well, she didn't pay me any rent for November. I didn't take it. I didn't want it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. That doesn't mean you don't have to follow the law and go through the eviction process. You do. So I want you to know that, because in many states, it's actually a misdemeanor, a crime.
Okay, well, I tried to do the right thing, Your Honor, and she just completely ignored me. She tried everything possible.
No, the right thing is to go through court. Now, you are suing her. You have a counterclaim against her for slander and defamation. For what?
Because she slandered me on social media, told all those lies. She thought, I'm jealous of her. She put my address, my name, my whole address on Facebook. She said, she talked about my son. I told her, don't involve our kids in our business. All that kind of stuff. And she just keeps coming back harassing me. First with
I need to see, did you introduce into evidence any of what you just said for me to look at to see if it's defamation or slander?
Who, me? I submitted everything. Yes, Your Honor.
You submitted a lot of stuff, electric bills, gas bills, lease, paperwork from court. What I'm asking you for is what you're talking about. Do you have any,
It's all on Facebook. I don't do Facebook. You just saw the video she put on there. She was talking about.
I understand. Do you have any evidence to buttress your counterclaim regarding defamation or slander that you'd like me to look at? I don't do Facebook either. So I would need you to take it off of Facebook and show it to me by way of an exhibit so that I can see what you're talking about. Ms. Robinson, what did you put on social media about her?
I didn't put anything on social media about her other than what you saw on that tape right there, Your Honor, that you just looked at.
Have you two spoken to each other since all this happened?
No.
No.
Have you ever spent time in your lives without talking to each other before?
Yes.
What's the longest you've ever gone without talking to each other?
Probably a couple of years.
Okay, well, I think you guys can break that record. And I think it might not be a bad idea.
Because,
all right, Ms. Robinson, regarding your lawsuit against her for $6,000, you would have to prove to me that there are items inside the house the value of which you cannot prove, the existence of which you cannot prove, the brand of which you cannot prove, your video belies that there's anything left inside, and your lawsuit for pain and suffering and defamation of character, you're not going to get $6,000 for that, nor $2,185 for the stuff that you can't prove. So on your lawsuit against Ms. Mary, zero. Ms. Mary, you have a lawsuit against her for $5,000, comprised entirely of things that you have failed to bring me here, other than that video that she brought, not you. And in that video, she's basically just complaining about what you've done to her. And the bottom line is, you did do her wrong by changing locks on her, which you shouldn't have done. But on your lawsuit against her, zero also. That is my verdict. You guys are done. And I would suggest that you take a little break from each other. Okay? Good luck, ladies.
I never want to see her again, ever.
So in this war between the sisters, the plaintiff doesn't get $6,000, the defendant doesn't get $5,000. Ms. Robinson, let's talk about to you first. You filed this lawsuit. You know, your sister said a lot of things about you.
All of those are lies. She's just an envy, jealous. That's all she is. I'll never have nothing.
Ask you.
If I seen her on fire, I wouldn't spit on her. And that's the way I feel.
Come on.
And I'm through with it. At this point, I'm done.
All right. Well, the judge says you guys ought to take a break. I assume that's exactly what you're going to do. You don't want to have anything to do with her. All right, Mary, let me talk to you. You don't want to have anything to do with her either. She just said a lot of bad things about you. You want to respond to that?
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that. You know what? I would say that she's angry normally if that was a normal person, but she's like a mad dog. She's no good. She's never been any good. She's dead to me. I don't ever want to see her pathetic looking, skanky, ugly, crackhead self ever again in life.
Okay. Well, I think you said enough. Obviously, the war continues.
So, I mean, look, Doug, if you're suing for defamation, you have to prove what was said. And here, this totally was lacking in proof. You've got to bring those Facebook messages in, and the judge has to read them, evaluate them, and decide whether they're true or not. That is basic law. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case inside the courtroom.
Can a homeowners association or condo association change the rules on you after you signed up that you understand the rules? For example, I belong to an association. I signed a rule agreement 10 years ago, and now they're telling me I can't have a colored light bulb in a fixture outside of my condo.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When you belong to a homeowners association, you agree to abide by the rules we all share.
Right.
It's just like belonging to a country, and they could change the laws on you in a country.
Right.
And decide that something is illegal that wasn't, or something is legal that
happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
Amended our Constitution more than 20 times. Right?
Okay, so they can. So it's not a bad thing. It's a growth thing. And so a homeowners association, what you read and signed will say, and we can change the rules from time to time.
Right.
There is no way it didn't say that, because they all say that. So your remedy is to vote with your feet. You don't like it, sell your condo and go live in a different way.
Or run for the board.
Or run for the board. Run for the board.